I confessed my forbidden wish. The alien woman answered in a way I never expected. Chance encounters in Nova City. The translucent dome of Nova City glittered with the light of 3 moons as Maya Chen hurried through the diplomatic quarter, her arms full of translation devices and cultural reference texts. As the Interspecies Communication Department's newest xenolinguist, she couldn't afford another late arrival to the embassy's weekly briefing. "Perfect timing as always, Dr. Chen," her supervisor remarked dryly as she slipped into the meeting room, nearly dropping her equipment. Maya mumbled an apology, settling into her seat just as Ambassador Reeves began introducing the delegation from Lumina, a distant world that had only recently established diplomatic relations with Earth's coalition. That's when Maya first saw her. The Luminian representative stood gracefully at the front of the room, her skin a soft purple that seemed to shimmer under the room's lights. Unlike the other aliens Maya had worked with over her 3 years at the embassy, this one's eyes, a deep violet with flecks of silver, seemed to connect directly with hers across the crowded room. "This is Diplomatic Envoy Ilara Nix," Ambassador Reeves announced. "She'll be stationed here for the next 6 months to help negotiate the new trade agreements." Maya felt a strange flutter in her chest as Ilara inclined her head slightly in greeting to the assembled humans. There was something in that gesture, a grace, a quiet intelligence, that made Maya forget the protocols she'd memorized for interacting with Luminians. After the meeting, Maya found herself lingering in the embassy's atrium, organizing her notes when a soft voice spoke beside her. "Your phonetic representation of our greeting was almost perfect," Ilara said, her voice melodious with an accent that made standard English sound like poetry. Maya looked up, momentarily speechless at finding Ilara standing so close. The Luminian's features were delicately structured, with high cheekbones and lips that curved gently as she spoke. "I've been studying Luminian speech patterns," Maya managed to say, trying to maintain professional composure despite the strange warmth spreading through her. "As does yours," Ilara replied, moving to sit beside Maya on the bench. "Perhaps we could exchange knowledge. I find human idioms particularly challenging." That simple conversation led to weekly language sessions in the embassy's gardens. Maya taught Ilara Earth expressions while learning the subtle hand gestures that accompanied formal Luminian speech. With each meeting, the professional distance between them seemed to shrink. One evening, as artificial twilight descended on Nova City, they sat beneath a flowering tree transplanted from Earth. "You're different from other humans I've met," Ilara observed, her fingers tracing patterns on the bench between them, dangerously close to Maya's hand. "How so?" Maya asked, acutely aware of the proximity. "You look at me as though trying to see beyond my diplomatic role, as though I am more than just an alien to be studied." Maya felt her cheeks warm. "I suppose I'm curious about you, not just as a Luminian, but as you." Something shifted in Ilara's expression, surprise, perhaps, or recognition. "Such curiosity isn't encouraged in our diplomatic protocols," Ilara said, her voice lower now. "No," Maya agreed, suddenly aware they were crossing into dangerous territory. As they walked back toward the diplomatic quarters, their hands brushed accidentally. The brief contact sent an unexpected thrill through Maya, and when she glanced at Ilara, the look in those violet eyes told her the feeling might be mutual, a realization as exciting as it was forbidden. Forbidden translations. 3 weeks after their first meeting, Maya found herself in her private office at the embassy, surrounded by holographic displays of Luminian script. Officially, she was preparing for the upcoming trade negotiations. Unofficially, she was counting the minutes until Ilara would arrive for her cultural exchange session. When the door slid open, Maya's breath caught. Ilara entered wearing traditional Luminian attire, flowing fabric that shifted colors with her movements, accentuating her purple skin that seemed to glow under the office lights. "I hope I'm not interrupting important work," Ilara said, her eyes taking in the scattered displays. "Nothing that can't wait," Maya replied, hurriedly clearing the desk.
I was just reviewing some cultural context notes. Ilara moved closer, her scent reminiscent of something like lavender, but with an alien undertone Maya couldn't quite place. And what have you learned about us today? That Luminians considered direct questions about personal feelings to be intrusive, Maya said with a small smile, which makes my job rather difficult. Perhaps some rules are meant to be reinterpreted, Ilara suggested, settling into the chair opposite Maya. Her fingers, elegant and precise in their movements, arranged diplomatic materials on the desk. As they worked through diplomatic terminology, Maya found herself increasingly distracted by the way Ilara's lips formed certain sounds, how her eyes brightened when Maya pronounced a difficult Luminian phrase correctly. "You mentioned last time that there are expressions that have no translation," Maya said, leaning forward. "I'd like to understand those better." Ilara hesitated. Some concepts exist beyond official diplomatic vocabulary. They belong to personal space. "I'm interested in the personal, too," Maya admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, "if that's permitted." The atmosphere in the room changed. Charged with something unspoken, Ilara's eyes met Maya's with an intensity that made her heart race. "There is a phrase," Ilara began, her voice softer now, "that we use to describe the feeling when two beings recognize something unexpected in each other. Navarai solum. The closest translation might be soul echo across distance." "Navarai solum," Maya repeated carefully, watching Ilara's reaction. "Your pronunciation is—" Ilara reached out, her fingers hovering near Maya's lips before pulling back. "Almost right. The emotion carries through, even if the sounds aren't perfect." Maya caught Ilara's retreating hand without thinking. "Show me." For a moment, Ilara froze. Then slowly, deliberately, she placed her fingers against Maya's lips. "Round the second syllable more. Feel it here." The touch sent electricity through Maya's body. She formed the word again, feeling Ilara's fingertips against her mouth. When she finished, neither moved away. "I've been having dreams," Ilara confessed suddenly, "about Earth oceans I've never seen. Is that normal when immersed in another culture? I've been dreaming of purple skies and twin suns, so if it's not normal, we're both affected." Their faces were closer now, the professional pretense wearing dangerously thin. "The diplomatic handbook has no protocol for this," Ilara murmured. "Maybe we need to write a new one," Maya suggested, her heart pounding. The embassy alert system chimed, announcing the end of the work cycle. Reality intruded, forcing them apart. As Ilara prepared to leave, she pressed a small crystal into Maya's palm. "This contains Luminian poetry, not the kind we share in diplomatic exchanges. Personal expressions, forbidden, in a way." "Why give this to me?" Maya asked. Ilara's lips curved in a subtle smile. "Because you asked about the untranslatable. This might help you understand." That night, Maya stayed up until dawn, absorbing Luminian verses that spoke of yearning across stars and forbidden connections between different worlds. Between the lines, she read Ilara's unspoken confession and recognized her own feelings reflected back at her.
The hidden garden. "You're certain we won't be seen?" Maya asked, following Ilara through a series of narrow passages in the alien quarter of Nova City. They had slipped away after a diplomatic reception, Ilara leading with confident steps while Maya glanced nervously over her shoulder. "The garden is protected by both technology and tradition," Ilara assured her. "Luminans value privacy deeply, perhaps the one value humans and my people genuinely share." They reached a nondescript door embedded in a curved wall. Ilara pressed her palm against it, whispering something in her native language. The door dissolved into mist, revealing a breathtaking sight beyond. Maya gasped as they entered what appeared to be an impossible space, much larger than the surrounding architecture should allow. Bioluminescent plants created patterns of light that danced across reflective pools. Floating orbs drifted lazily through the air, each containing what looked like miniature ecosystems. "This is a remembrance garden," Ilara explained, guiding Maya along a path that illuminated with each step. A piece of lumina, recreated on Earth. Very few humans have ever seen it. "It's incredible," Maya whispered, afraid speaking too loudly might shatter the magic. They settled beside a pool where luminous creatures, something between fish and birds, swam through water that sparkled with tiny lights. Above them, the artificial ceiling projected what Maya realized must be the Luminian night sky. "I wanted to bring you here because—" Elara hesitated, her usual diplomatic poise wavering. "Because words have limits, even for a xenolinguist and a diplomat." I understood. For weeks, they had circled each other, exchanging knowledge, brushing fingers across translation texts, sharing glances that lasted too long to be professional. Here, away from embassy cameras and curious eyes, they could finally acknowledge the growing connection between them. "The poetry you gave me," Maya said softly. "There was a phrase that kept appearing. Iliard Navren. What does it mean?" Ilara moved closer, her purple hue of her skin enhanced by the garden's ethereal lighting. "The desire to know another being beyond all boundaries." "Physical boundaries?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. "Those too," Ilara confirmed, her gaze dropping briefly to Maya's lips. Maya reached out slowly, giving Ilara time to pull away. When she didn't, Maya's fingers gently traced the curve of Ilara's face, marveling at the warmth and softness of her skin. "Is this allowed?" Maya whispered. "No," Ilara answered, leaning into the touch. "By my world's protocols, by your diplomatic regulations, by the separation our species are meant to maintain. And yet—" Maya closed the distance between them, pressing her lips to Ilara's in a kiss that started tentative but quickly deepened with shared hunger. Ilara's arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer with surprising strength. When they finally separated, both breathing heavily, the garden around them seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats, the lights intensifying and dimming in waves. "The garden responds to emotion," Ilara explained, looking around with a mixture of wonder and embarrassment. "It's never reacted this strongly before." Maya laughed softly, resting her forehead against Ilara's. "Should I apologize?" "Never," Ilara whispered, taking Maya's hands in hers. "But we should understand what we're risking. If discovered, you could lose your position. I could be recalled to Lumina, possibly permanently." Maya knew she should feel afraid, should consider the professional consequences more carefully. Instead, surrounded by the living light of Ilara's world, with the taste of her still on her lips, Maya felt only certainty. "Some discoveries are worth the risk," she said, drawing Ilara back to her, "and I've only just begun to explore."
Beyond boundaries. The assembly hall buzzed with tension as Maya stepped onto the speaking platform. The emergency session of the Interspecies Relations Committee had been convened to address the rising tensions, and as a senior xenolinguist, she had requested time to present expert testimony. Camera drones hovered around the room, broadcasting the proceedings throughout Nova City and to Earth's colonial outposts. In the diplomatic section, Ambassador Reeves watched with a frown, clearly puzzled by Maya's unexpected participation. "My expertise is in communication," Maya began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "In finding ways for different species to understand one another beyond the limitations of language." She activated the holographic display, showing statistical data on interspecies cooperation projects. Standard material, nothing controversial yet. Her eyes found Ilara sitting with the Luminan delegation, her posture formal but her gaze unwavering. "The current climate of fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding," Maya continued. "We perceive differences as threats rather than opportunities. We regulate interaction rather than embracing connection." A murmur ran through the crowd as Maya's presentation shifted to show images of successful human-alien partnerships.
scientific teams, artistic collaborations, and finally, a few rare examples of personal relationships. The official position has been that certain boundaries between species must be maintained for cultural preservation, Maya said, approaching her true purpose. I am here to testify that this position is not only flawed, but actively harmful to genuine diplomatic progress. Ambassador Reeves straightened in his seat, a warning look on his face. He knew Maya well enough to sense where this might be heading. As evidence, Maya continued, her voice now carrying a tremor, I offer my own experience. The hall fell silent as Maya deactivated the prepared presentation. This was the moment she and Ilara had planned and feared. For the past 3 months, I have been in a relationship with diplomatic envoy Ilara Nix of Lumina. A relationship we were forced to hide due to regulations that treat interspecies connection as a security risk, rather than as the bridge it truly is. The silence exploded into chaos. Representatives jumped to their feet, reporters shouted questions, and Ambassador Reeves looked as though he might collapse from shock. In the midst of the uproar, Ilara rose gracefully and walked to join Maya at the platform. The simple act of moving to stand beside her caused another wave of commotion. The Luminan philosophy teaches that understanding cannot happen at a distance. True comprehension requires closeness, intellectual, emotional, and yes, sometimes physical. Ilara addressed the assembly, her voice carrying over the noise. Maya felt Ilara's hands slip into hers, their fingers intertwining visibly before the assembled diplomats and cameras. We stand before you not just as representatives of our respective species, but as proof that the boundaries we've established are arbitrary. They don't protect our cultures, they prevent us from creating something new together. Ambassador Reeves had recovered enough to approach the platform. Dr. Chen, this is highly irregular and violates at least 16 protocols. With respect, Ambassador, Ilara interrupted, perhaps those are precisely the protocols that require re-examination. What followed was 3 hours of the most intense diplomatic discussion in Nova City's history. Maya and Ilara faced questioning from both human and Luminan authorities, standing firm in their conviction even as their professional futures hung in the balance. When the emergency session finally adjourned, no formal decision had been reached, but something fundamental had shifted. News of their testimony spread throughout the city, polarizing opinions but crucially, starting conversations where silence had prevailed. We might both be unemployed tomorrow, Maya said, as they walked through the night-darkened paths of the public gardens, no longer hiding, but still adjusting to the strangeness of being seen together. Ilara's laugh was light, despite the day's tension. True. But as your Earth expression goes, we've opened the door that cannot be closed. Opened Pandora's box, Maya corrected with a smile. I prefer your door metaphor, Ilara said, stopping to face Maya. A box implies containment. A door suggests passage, movement forward. Around them, the city continued its evening rhythm. Some passerbys now openly staring at the human and Luminan standing so close together. But others simply nodded in acknowledgement, as if the sight were the most natural thing in the world. The Luminan Council's initial response was not entirely negative, Ilara said thoughtfully. There were voices supporting the concept of, what did they call it? Diplomatic integration at all levels. Maya laughed, a very formal way of approving us. It's a beginning, Ilara said, her fingers tracing the now familiar pattern on Maya's palm. My people don't rush significant changes, neither do yours. Maya looked up at the dome of Nova City, where stars were visible through the transparent sections. Somewhere out there was Lumina, a world she now knew through Ilara's stories, poems, and memories, a place she hoped to see one day. Do you think they'll let us continue the work, she asked? The translation projects? Perhaps, Ilara replied, but I think we've started something far more important than treaty negotiations. Maya nodded, understanding completely. In revealing their relationship, they had offered both their worlds a new possibility, a future where differences didn't necessitate distance, where connection could bridge even the vast spaces between stars. As they walked on through the garden, no longer hiding in shadows, but stepping fully into the light, Maya thought of all the words she had learned in Ilara's language. The most beautiful remained Navirai Solim, soul echo across distance, the perfect description of what had grown between them and what might now grow between their worlds. For tonight it was enough that they walked together under the same stars, pioneers on a path neither human nor Luminan had fully charted before, the intricate, challenging, beautiful space where two worlds meet and create something entirely new.